What's up, everybody? This is Jim Benson, the Viking Hobbit, your host for tonight. And this is the very first episode of Talking Dirty, presented by Dirty South Barbell. And we're here at Shane Hammock's house, because he is the very first guest, the honorary guest. He's the only one person that would want to do it. Actually, I just showed up at his house. It was like, hey, we're doing this.
You're Viking Hobbit.
I'm Viking. That's what Tim dubbed me.
That's amazing.
It fits.
It does, Junior.
It does.
Your life.
Because I feel like, because Vikings and Lord of the Rings, Frodo, Jimbo Baggins, it fits. Right?
Yes, it does.
All right.
My life's complete.
We're good.
That's what I needed to hear.
That's good. Anyway, we're going to talk with Shane about his life story. We're going to get into the nitty-gritties. It's done.
I don't want to do that.
All right, to start off with, Shane sucks. And, all right, that's the podcast. We'll go on. But we can start out by saying, or you can tell me how you got your lifting career started.
Jerry, I feel very weird that you're doing this interview with me because you kind of know these answers.
I know these.
But you need me to say these to people we don't know.
That is true. Because people want to hear what we have to say.
It's hard to believe.
I know. My own mother doesn't even want to hear what I have to say. Anyway, how'd you get started?
Well, the truth is, there's no definitive age where I got started because ever since my first memory, I've wanted to be strong. And I think at 5 years old, I proclaimed to my family that I wanted to be the strongest man in the world. But, they wouldn't let me start training until I think I was 11. And I trained for a year at home, the concrete weight set. Very quickly, my dad saw that the concrete weight set really wasn't going to cut it. So he took me to my first real gym, which was Gold's Gym. I think you remember that Gold's Gym.
Yes.
That's where we knew Jonas Dalton.
Yes. Well, was it on River? It wasn't on Riverside then. It was back on Forsyth Road.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's the first gym I ever went to, and a guy by the name of Jerry Fitzpatrick picked me up, took me under his wing. He was a bodybuilder, and he showed me what work ethic was and what hard work was, and very quickly introduced me to the sport of powerlifting, and told me about my first meet, and that's where I went to the farmer's market at 12 years old to try to show everybody I could bench 275, but I'd overtrained. I think I only got like 225 that day, but the guy running the meet happened to be a man that changed my life forever, mine and Junior's life forever, named Joe DeVerl. And I met him I was 12 then, but I didn't start training with Joe until I think I was 14. It might have been late 13, but I knew him for about a year, and I didn't want to train with him, but that's the guy who set me on the path to being a world champion and having world records and winning pro shows and all those things like that. He gave me that path in that direction.
He definitely gave me my path.
Yeah. I mean, he literally, coming from what he came from, he brought powerlifting to middle Georgia, and from training us, I mean, we kind of carry the flag. I don't care what anyone says, we carry the flag because we're always here.
Oh, yeah.
We never go away. Like, everybody else can be seasonal, and they can talk all the stuff they want to, but at the end of the day, when they want to get strong, they come to us. They always come to us.
Yeah, and we never stop.
Yeah, we never stop.
Never stop. Ever since I started at SciFit, almost 13 years ago, unless it's an injury that we had to recover from or something like that, we literally never stop.
Yeah, we've had it, man. This has been a transformation over the years, from the back of on Zebulon Road, the back of that gym.
On that Body Force.
Body Force, which was attached to a gas station, which made always for a very interesting Friday or Saturday night while you were training at the gym. Everybody would be drunk or come to get beer.
Very hot. No AC.
And there was no AC. That's right. So it was a hardcore gym, and then we left that to train at Sci-Fit of Georgia, the back of a supplement store, which you would have never known was back there. But that's where I can't tell you how many countless hours of work we got back there, and nobody even knew it existed.
Yeah.
And we set the bench tone for powerlifting in Middle Georgia from that back room.
True, and I also feel like that as time went on, that we actually, each person that come in there brought their own little uniqueness to the place.
That's for sure.
Like, cause I remember when I started, y'all didn't play no radio or anything, and I'm like, it's too quiet.
Oh man, those were rough days. I did appreciate you bringing the music.
Yeah, and we started out with a little stereo with a CD. I started bringing CDs.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, we ended up using computer speakers. I'm like, this thing don't cut it. So I ended up getting my dad's old floor speakers from my old 80s stereo system and brought that in there, and that's when we started jamming.
Sure.
And it got bad enough the DUI school next to us.
I tell us to turn it down.
Yeah. That's when we know
those
we
were
made
good
it.
nights.
Yes, it was.
Those were nice.
We actually were proud of those moments.
Yes, we were. We smacked Joe. We knew we were going. They knew we were going heavy when the rope wall was shaking.
Yes.
Sir.
So what was it like training under Joe?
That's weird for you to ask me that question because you know that it was terrifying.
I know.
That you were this normal mortal child, and he was this man that was larger than life, and you were petrified of him out of respect.
Out of respect.
Out of respect, because he came off as not only I don't know if you should just say just that manly, but like you were coming to Joe for knowledge you just wouldn't have without him.
Yes.
And he'd already been around the world. He was a world champion, trained under Ernie Franz, trained with Eddie Cohn.
Yeah.
Had 30 years of stories behind him in powerlifting. So when Joe spoke, everyone listened.
Oh yeah.
And he carried himself to demand respect. And still to this day, even though he thinks it's a joke, everyone still respects him in the same way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And definitely just his presence.
Yeah. I hope people don't take it wrong when say terrifying. Just Joe was very intense to be around, but that's why Joe made great athletes.
It was a different era then too.
Yeah, it was a different era.
He come from a different era.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
He was a disciple of Ernie Franz.
That's right. And what's it? He was from Chicago.
Yeah.
Grew up with what was the big gangster around back then?
I can't think of the name of it.
I can't either. But anyway, one of those big time Chicago guys, like when Joe was a kid, those were the guys roaming his streets.
Yeah.
That's the era he comes from in Chicago. That's a rough time to be alive in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And he definitely carried that toughness through his life, and even today, man, that is one of the most determined people I've ever met in my life.
Oh yeah, and it just watching the way he carried himself and around people, and how serious he took just the sport itself. You wanted to respect him.
Yeah.
And you did, and you.
And he made powerlifting first.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing. Like I can't tell you how many times people or somebody would say, "Man, you need to stop doing the powerlifting or put so much in powerlifting, doing the sport, do this." Joe was always powerlifting first.
Yeah.
Nothing else mattered.
Well, see, that's like I lifted in high school and in middle school for football and all that stuff, and I loved lifting. But it wasn't until I met Joe and you, and as serious as y'all took it, it's like it made me realize that I can actually love something that much.
Right.
I see somebody else that can love something, not someone, but something that much, and it made me fall into it.
Yeah.
And it just, it's everything. And then we have people like Butch in there, who, like, we say he was the yin to Joe's yang.
Yeah.
Because Joe would tell us something just straight up harsh, like that looked like crap. That's the worst squat I've ever seen. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And then Butch would come over there like, look, it's all right. Just change this up, do this, you'll be all right. Like, thanks, Butch. But every now and then, Butch would take that knife and turn it at Joe.
Twist it just to make it worse. Yeah, they definitely had a good cop, bad cop thing going on, but it was a great chemistry between both of them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they both just wanted you to be better.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they always got results.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, they always got the best out of us. Because I mean, you had moments where, you know, like I was a head case when I was 19 and we were going to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, it was a big deal for me to fly. I was going to fly by myself.
Mhm.
You know, we were flying all the way to Chicago to compete in the Worlds.
Yeah.
And all the things that could go wrong and all the pressure for that day and how long you train in your life to show everybody that you're the best at what you do. Man, I remember that training cycle was terrible. Like, we both were falling apart in that training cycle.
Yeah.
And, man, they managed to, you know, everything is psychology in life, and somehow those two guys always managed to keep our heads straight.
Yeah.
Because I remember my head going all over the place, but it was so, it almost sounds so stupid to tell people, but he said that's where he came up with that. Hey, man, ain't no bugs on you.
Oh yeah.
He's like, that's what that's he said, what do you say? That's what the commercial said, talking about that flea and tick commercial. Ain't no bugs on you.
Ain't no bugs.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's always getting something like that, and I just die laughing. I'm like, all right.
And I always love, you got him on the phone, and you talk about something he don't really care to talk about, and you know it. You be like, hey, what's that? My phone's going dead. I can't hear you. Fuck static.
The phone, the conversation would be short.
Yeah.
If it entered the realm Butch wasn't pleased with.
Love you, mean it.
Gotta go.
So, I mean, how many years was you at SciFit before I come in? There's a few.
I started, I mean, it's really hard for me to remember, and Joe might even remember better than me, but I know my first real job working for anybody was working for Joe, and I think I started working in there when I was 15, because I think I just got my learners.
Yeah.
And
I know I technically started when I was 18, but I quickly turned 19.
Yeah. I started lifting with Joe, I think when I was 14. It might have been late 13, but I think when I was 14.
Okay.
And we were at the Zebulon Road place.
Yeah, yes, whatever.
That was a different time, man. I was always nervous around him back then.
Oh yeah.
I was always, and like when I started working for him, Jesus, like I'm already bad. Like I can get something done if you let me do it, but I'm really bad when somebody stands over me and tells me what to do. I just get nervous.
Very high expectations.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess it up. That's the way you make me nervous. And usually I'm better, but Joe was things had to be his way, and I got it.
Yeah.
But it was already Joe DeVerble, and then he was trying to tell me how to run a shop. Boy, he wanted me to run it, and I didn't want to make any mistakes.
Yeah.
So, you know.
It's like the pressure's on.
Yeah, you 15 years old, you nervous around. That was a grown man. Like,
oh yeah.
That was the grown man that all other grown men in town said, that's the guy you don't mess with.
Oh yeah.
That's who was our mentor.
Yeah, as that one dude said on the YouTube video where he was lifting out to you, he's like, that dude knows he's alpha.
Oh yeah. Always, man.
So when I started, what's it been like training with Jim Benson? What's it been like?
You're asking me a question about you while you're asking.
And speaking in third person.
You're speaking in third person.
I know, right? Like, who is this guy?
Okay, how can I put this? That's definitely been a roller coaster since the beginning because of the way we met and we were pitted against each other.
I was gonna say because there was a time period where you really didn't like me.
No way, no way. Because I met you right off the bat. I never had anybody who could even challenge me.
Yeah.
In the strength category, and not only could you challenge me, you could beat me. And man, it infuriated me. I mean, I trained so hard, and Joe was telling me you were 2 years younger than me and all this crap, and I mean, he was always trying to piss me off and push me further.
But at the same time, you was going through a small knee injury too, right?
Yeah, that came a little bit later. Like that back then, when that happened, it's not that I didn't like you. We were just very competitive.
Yeah.
Like we were very close back then.
Oh yeah.
And then when I got injured, I just had to watch you walk past me.
Yeah.
And Joe DeVerble and Butch were killing me.
Oh yeah.
They would not let that. I mean, it just every night, just watching it was just like, and I could do nothing.
Yeah.
You know, but watch.
True.
And it was that was rough. And but that training with you, or however you want to answer this, training with you gave me the motivation to always push me to pass my best. Because when I would be tired, on days I would be tired,
Yeah.
your butt would have endless energy.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, you'd have endless energy, and it would push me on the days I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And I saw the days where I felt good, and you would be like, "Oh yeah, man, let's go!" Like
Yeah.
it always pushed you. Like we made very good training partners.
Well, it's like when you figured out how to harness having somebody put against you.
Yeah, yeah.
That we really started to grow.
Yeah, that's and we literally, whatever was the standard for powerlifting strength in Middle Georgia, it
Yeah.
changed under Joe's rule in that little back room.
Yeah.
With me and you training in there.
Oh yeah.
I remember when the baddest dude in town was benching 600 in a shirt.
Yeah, or
And
at
it
least
was
he was. I remember he was chasing 600.
Yeah, he was chasing, and it was like the biggest deal ever.
Oh yeah.
Like everybody's like, holy crap, he's going to bench 600 pounds in a bench shirt. It's the
Yeah.
biggest deal ever. And then in a couple of years, me and you were both bench number 7.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, it. And then after that, but honestly, it's what some people said about geared powerlifting. We got so good, we ran everybody off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like literally, you think there was nobody around even close to what we're doing nowadays. And that's not patting myself on the back. I'm talking about a statistical fact, which is a number.
Yeah.
And that's the game we compete in.
But at the same time, the people that we've had coming, because we've had a lot of training partners
Oh yeah.
come and go. Some, that really had a lot of potential we wish would have stayed, but, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Family.
We're normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life. But it's just, we couldn't never stop. This is what we wanted to do.
Well, see, and that's something I don't want to bring all this into, I guess, one episode. But see, going to Westside, moving to Westside Barbell
Yeah.
made me feel, and being around those guys at that intensity,
Yeah.
made me feel normal.
Yeah.
Because that's who we were. But me, and
There was
you
just
were,
more of them.
Right, that me and you were the few.
Yeah.
And see, I've told people that too. That training with you always made me feel sane.
Yeah.
Because going up there, being around someone like Louis, makes me feel sane because we're a rare breed. As much as I want to say that everyone is capable of anything and whatever, most people just don't want it like that, man. And that's okay that they don't want it like that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at
But
all.
most people just don't.
Yeah.
Most people that say they want to be better, that's a thought in their brain for about 2 months out of the year, and then the rest of the year is life.
Yeah.
And then they come back to, oh man, I can't wait to get it back. They train for a month and they got 2 months of progress, and then it's back to the same routine.
Some life
And
hits.
I have no idea how they continue to do that to themselves and their body year after year. Because I think as a grown person, as a grown man, as a grown woman, you need to take care of your body.
Yeah.
Whether it be through nutrition or whether it be through training or heavyweight training, whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
some kind of safe physical training where you become stronger, a little bit leaner,
Yeah.
increase your heart rate and to a safe rate, and eat healthier food and improve your lifestyle and your sleep and all those other things. I think that's necessary for every person who walks this planet, but it's just not going to be what everybody's going to do.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't know. That's an endless battle, man. It's hard to get. We train football players at the gym.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing in the world. They'll train all day for you, but getting them to eat what you need them to
Yeah.
is next to impossible.
Well, it's like, we've had people before say, man, why don't you take about a week off or a month off or
Yes.
take a few months off. Just don't even come to the gym. I can't even, just the way we are, I can't even fathom not having it in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And most of those people that always give those suggestions end up taking years off themselves or never coming back, period.
Yeah.
So this is all mental, and everything in life you're going to do is mental. But this is all mental, and, the people that need months off,
Yeah.
that's mental.
Oh yeah.
That's just mental.
Of course,
And if you're that weak mentally, you're going nowhere anyway.
Exactly.
So,
And just cause, we'll take a week off before the meet.
Yeah.
We'll take our week off after the meet.
yeah.
Maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. And we're
Well, we're supposed to.
supposed to.
Yeah, but you seem to come right back training nowadays.
Well,
I've noticed that.
just the day after, maybe.
Yeah, right. I'm not.
Max effort lift.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be hurting and dying.
It's like, I probably shouldn't have pulled tonight, but I did anyway.
it's hard to walk away from it, especially, we're all good training partners, and when you don't feel like doing it, even though you know you shouldn't, and you don't feel like doing it, when you watch someone hit it, you're like, man, like look, they're galloping.
Yeah.
I want to do that too.
It fires. There's something inside. It hits a switch, and it just you got to do it.
Yeah, you want to.
Yeah.
You want to push it.
But at the same time, you try to be smart about it at the same time.
The sign of a mature athlete is to fight that urge.
Yeah.
And say, well, what do I need to do? What's best for my plan?
Yeah.
What I got coming up, and with my body, what I've just been through, not what do I feel like because I'm being challenged by my environment.
Oh, exactly. I mean, even though I've been in it almost 13 years now. You've been in it like 150.
Yeah.
But just the stuff we used to do back then, like remember that time at Goals we hit the squats for reps, and we both caught a huge headache.
Oh yeah.
For doing too many reps.
Yeah.
And like we know now that maybe something like that every now and then is okay. Yeah. When we're not in training, we can kind of push the envelope a little bit. But at the level that we've become, it's the recovery part is so much more important.
Yes.
And then, cause I hit the 1150 the other week, and then my legs are doing okay, but even my arms, and this is almost 2 weeks later, still hurt.
Yeah, and that's something. If we have a moment to stand on a pedestal like this little show,
yeah,
and tell people anything, you have no idea. I guess most people that powerlift want to say we do it all so easy,
yeah,
and want to show people how tough we are, but acting like nothing's ever hard. But this stuff is incredibly difficult.
Oh yeah,
and takes a serious toll on your mind and your body to always be pushing past what you've done before.
Yeah.
I mean, people just can't fathom like the kind of hurt you're going to feel after putting 1150 on your back and it rounded you over just enough to turn into kind of a good morning.
If we round over just a half an inch.
Yes.
I mean, it feels like 100 more pounds just got put on the bar.
Right. And and weight definitely has stages. And I mean, I remember the first time watching you stand up with 1,200 pounds, you went to stand up with it and you went, ooh.
No, it put me back down.
Yeah,
I had to reset and make myself stand up with it.
But the people, I don't know what people think. Like you think, oh, I'm in gear and you've got so much help. Man, if it's touching my body or you don't see something being touched at all by gear, it's working completely against that weight.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no help, there's no support, and my entire body is the support of that 1,200 pounds on my back. And the next day I feel it.
Yeah.
Like we feel these things.
Yeah.
Like man, I mean some of the worst days I've ever had ever was after benching really heavy in a shirt. Like when you started going 900,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And man, I remember like the next day, I had a date one night. I mean, this is years ago now.
Yeah.
But I had a date one night, and I remember I had to cancel, and I didn't want to tell her or nobody that I canceled literally because I was in so much pain with my arms.
Oh, yeah.
Like I literally laid in my bed with my forearms and my upper arm throbbing,
Yeah.
like to the point of that I was almost in tears.
Yeah.
Because that level of pain I just went through, but then you see how far you come a year later, you do the same amount of work, and you're not in any pain at all.
Yeah.
And you realize you become that much stronger.
Oh yeah.
And that's how gear is. That's how you change. You become harder and denser by working in that gear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then especially at the levels we're at now, there's still that fine line. We know we have
much.
too much.
Too much. And that's man. I don't know. That's the one thing. It's hard to get people to understand like when everyone sees us and they think, man, I'm not going over there with those guys until I'm those guys.
Yeah.
Man, the fastest way to become us is to come train with us.
Well, yeah, and
or to be better than us is to come train with us.
Especially if it's something you really want to put your heart into, or your time, your money, and you want to get the best out of it. I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to be around the best.
That's right.
Take some of the people like Joe and Clay and them, that's come along, and I always use them as an example, and they've even agreed with me that say they decide to want to start lifting or get fit or whatever, and they go to a normal gym and never have met us. I'm like, even they agree that they would never have made the strides and be at the level they're at today without, having to come through us.
Well, they want to believe it.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing. Another thing that's amazing to me is so many things I could cover and so much to say, but nobody realizes how much of a mental game this is, and almost a mental chess game. Like, usually guys who become the strongest are the smartest guys with their body.
Yeah.
Like, they're that intelligent with their own body. They're not only brutally strong, but they figured out their body to get that much out of their body to push to that level. Most people don't understand that that's a huge part of it.
Damn, this Mountain Dew is strong.
Yeah. It's Mountain Dew.
This Mountain Dew. I don't drink it. Now it's like crack. But yeah, it's just, and even for somebody that's just a hobby for them, it can be such a mental game for them. Even at the level of taking it as a hobby, because it's something, even though you're doing it for fun, you might go away for a minute, come back, just to prep and get your body back to where it was, or the training. You went from not doing anything to now you're missing certain things. During each, like for us, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And then it can take tolls on you.
Well, then the mental stress of getting underweight you've never done.
True.
Having, it's something I think you do maybe with a more perceived ease than most people will think. But I know for a fact, just because I know how I feel when I get on those weights, there's always a healthy fear.
Oh yeah.
I have a healthy amount of respect for the weight we put on our back and for what we try to pull. I've seen weights that, years ago, like if you pulled 700 at a meet, like it was the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like that was the biggest deadlift you would ever see. And
Yeah.
I remember seeing one of the best deadlifts I'd ever seen was Mike Holston pulling 725 or 750. It might have been 725, and he said he was going to do it for the guys overseas, and which I respected. And I was real young, and it was in Forsyth, and it was a Buddy Duke.
Oh yeah, that old meet they used to hold. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Buddy Duke meeting in Forsyth, and what was that, USPF?
Yeah,
USPF. USPF. And
that was actually before I started, and I kind of wish they would have kept it up there, because that'd have been cool to, just starting out, being able to lift in my hometown and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a good tuner meet, because it definitely prepared you for the big show.
Oh yeah.
Buddy and them were rough.
Yeah.
They brought judging to the table that you don't see nowadays.
Yeah, Buddy Duke is like Joe. I mean, they're pretty much.
Yeah, they're hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be no freebies. You're gonna get no what we call them, Christmas presents.
Yeah, because hell, you even said even Louis Simmons knows about Buddy.
Oh yeah, that's the only time I think. Well, I made the man mad other times. That's the only time he ever got on to me for not mentioning somebody was in the room.
Yeah.
When he came to that meet, and I was like, I didn't know you know Buddy. He's like, man, what are you talking about? It's freaking Buddy Duke. I was like, all right, that's I forgot.
All right.
I forgot.
Sorry.
Well, we grew up. I grew up around Buddy.
Yeah.
And even though I knew how bad of a dude he was, I really didn't think about the fact that Buddy Duke was a 10-time world champion and constantly gave Louis and all them guys the run for their money at every show they ever went to back in the day.
And he did bodybuilding too, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just Jennifer said they used to do cat calls when walking up to the stage.
For real?
Yeah. Yep. All the girls in the crowd. And what were you saying about something about the mental game?
You talking about like with just training, or
yeah, just figuring out your body. Like I try to say to everybody that I train, like I try to give so much, and I don't really can't, because it's hard to, especially when I train these kids, man. It's hard to give them as much knowledge as I have. They're so busy processing the basics, and I'm 50 years ahead in thought and training.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I try to give them what I think is a simple concept, I get a little upset because they just don't get it. But I realize it's a lot for people to take in. I don't know.
You maybe lose track of memory, just being around you. We've been through so much.
We really have.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll shift gears
The thought
here.
continues.
We got to talk about your head. We got to. The legendary head. We're going to tell everybody.
Do you really?
Yes.
I was laying down like a serious knowledge.
No.
I was laying down
This is serious knowledge.
I was laying down heavy, serious knowledge, and you're gonna talk about my head.
But it's junior. You know,
I know. Yeah, I know you're a junior. You're sitting here. You're not your third person.
Jim Benson.
That's
Yes.
right.
Viking Hobbit. No, that's trade. That's Tim come up with that. I thought it was pretty epic. Anyway, I trademarked it last week.
Okay.
But we have to tell everybody how it got started. Me, you, and a weight scale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I was like, one day I was like, dude, your head's big. And you're like, no, it's not. And then when we got in an argument of whose head weighed more, I think. And then we had the bright idea of like, Joe.
No, we've never been in an argument about whose head weighed more. We were guessing how much my head weighed.
That is true. Yeah.
And
That's right.
you said, what did you say? Did you guess it on the dot?
No, I said something like 30, 40
I thought
pounds.
you said 18 pounds.
But anyway, we put the scale right in the middle of the floor. We laid down, and put our head on the scale. Mine was, I think, 9 pounds, and yours was a whopping 14 pounds.
Yes.
And that just Shane's head, boom, that was it.
Silver bill.
Until this day, you're a big head.
I know, dude.
I know.
People online should know. If anybody follows us at all, they realize that you call me a big head in every video that you see me in.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. You try to.
Well, I mean, you look like Bobby's World. I mean, I'm just saying. You have no childhood.
I do have childhood. It includes Bobby's World. I was watching Dragon Ball Z.
That is true. That's the epic stuff.
I was Tsunami, son.
Tsunami. But anyways, all right, we trained at SciFit. I remember it was 2011. It was less than a year before we leave SciFit. Joe sits us down and tells us, he's like, you know what, he's done.
Yeah.
And I don't think it quite. I know it didn't quite hit me at first, but then after a few days later, I'm like, all right, what do we do? Because we're like, this has been my home for 6 years,
yeah.
And then I've gained so much from this place and from this.
You couldn't complain to Joe because he gave us a free place to train for 6 years,
Yeah.
and all we had to do was we didn't have to do anything, but we bought supplements from him.
Yeah.
And it helped keep him open,
And I know we took that whole almost that whole year we tried to find different places that would fit us and make us our new home and stuff like that. And then come time for moving and stuff. And I remember the day we was pulling up the floor. Because Joe always got onto us for slamming the bar down on the deadlifts.
right.
Because he always like, if this floor tears up under us, that's gonna be our tail.
Yeah.
And then I remember we went to pull that mat up. We was like, did not want to pull it up. And then finally it was like, ha! See, told you, Joe.
Yeah, there wasn't anything broken there.
No, it was.
Nothing. It was clean. In fact, there was other places in the back room
Yeah.
where we lifted up the pad where it was broke.
Yeah.
But it wasn't where we deadlifted.
Yeah. But yeah, he was always. But I think a lot of people they slam the weights down once the lift is over. I guess technically we've always worked on our negatives on the way down too, and it was more of a respectful thing.
Yeah.
Not slamming it down.
One, it gave us. I was working on the negative, but it also gave us a little more discipline.
True.
We went to meet. That's the number one thing that people always came to me and told me that they were very impressed with how focused and disciplined that we both were.
Yeah.
And even though we were yin and yang to me, because you were, you brought energy and a volume that I don't think anybody had ever seen to meets. Because I never forget the first time Chris McBride ever watched you go to meet. He's like, man, I don't know, but I'd probably pay to watch Junior on TV be a powerlifter. Like something like that. Just because all you did, you made it a show.
But at the same time, I feel like you brought the passion and the seriousness, and made everything, like fun and games at the same time. But at the same time, we're serious and we're here to do something.
Yeah, it definitely was a yin and yang that worked because that was always the hell we were talking about the other day. Before a meet, you have all the energy in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm serious. And then after a meet, you're exhausted.
I'm exhausted because I pretty much danced around the whole place.
Oh yeah,
and gave every lift my all.
No, just the amount of energy you put out after you do a good lift is more than the energy I put out on the whole meet.
Remember in Adele when I puked in the bathroom?
Yes, I can never forget that.
I mean, you know, that's the epic story.
It was loud.
You went to use the bathroom, the lights were out
Yep.
in the gym.
Oh yeah, let's tell the world about this.
Shane's using the bathroom.
Yeah, I was using the bathroom.
Taking the El Dumpo.
Yep.
And I'm like, because everybody knows that, you know, before a meet I get nervous. Once my nerves hit, at some point I'm going to puke. And then for this one, I remember we went and ate somewhere and ate a huge breakfast, which was a no-no.
Yeah.
And then
I think your huge breakfast always included pancakes that always ended up coming back.
That is true. Me and pancakes.
Yeah, you pancakes in the morning don't mix when you're nervous.
That is true. Anyways, but I remember.
I should know that.
You know a lot about me.
I do.
I know you went to the bathroom, do your business, and it was real quiet. I'm like, here we go. So all you hear is me running in there?
Yeah, you were loud as hell, and I hear you stomping in there. I had the lights off. Like, I didn't even bother to turn the lights on. I thought I was going to trick everybody in the building to think nobody was in there. And no longer than a few minutes, I was sitting there. Junior runs in, stomping, and immediately I can hear him tackle a trash can and hurl into the trash can. I mean, and you sound like a grizzly bear that day. That was the day you sound like a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
That you were in the middle of talking and saying, I'm really starting to feel better, and in the middle of saying better, you threw up.
Blah.
Yeah, that was just one of the times that, man, all the years that we've been to meets, it's endless, man. Just but that's, I know we both want to be the best at what we do.
Yes.
But man, the journey has made it.
Yeah, and
like,
you know,
going to the shows and the adventures and meeting people, and and having the memories, and the whole time you're pushing yourself to be better than you ever were.
Yeah.
You do walk around with your success on your shoulders.
Yeah.
You really do, because people see it. Everywhere we go, people look at us. Everywhere we go, everyone stares at us, man.
True.
And I mean, 2-3 times a day, if I'm out and about on the day, someone's gonna stop me and ask me, where do I lift, or or how much do I bench, or something like that. I mean, you carry your success as a lifter on you at all times, and that's a good feeling. And the ride we've had, walk around with that every day. You have that little bit of pride with you.
Yeah. And
you're not trying to be a prideful person, but I mean, you work hard at this, and it takes people 2 seconds of trying this to respect us for a lifetime.
Yeah.
They get in gear for 2 seconds, or they try to power up with us for 2 seconds. Within a day, they go from, if they ever had a bad opinion about us, to respecting us for life.
Yeah. And I've seen it in person.
Yeah, I mean, I have too. But it's been a journey, man. Like, I can't, with all the time we have spent traveling, going to places, lifting, setting these records, doing everything we've ever done, I can't imagine what I've been doing during that time instead of that.
Yeah.
What would you rather do with your life?
Well, then, and also going through this together, I've always felt like, and I feel like, that's why we went from being training partners to best friends.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I've met nobody else that understands what I feel about this and how much I feel about this as you do.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that, if I ever find that right one and I get married, that you're going to be my bartender. That's how much I think about you.
I appreciate
or that guy that, that waits the cars in,
Yeah.
tells them to park in that spot.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you, man.
Thanks, friend.
All these years, I'll do that for you.
You're a good pal.
I try.
But no, like we was talking about, the side fit's coming to a close. We end up moving to a different spot, and that's when you kind of start to kind of change your journey a little bit, and that's when you make the trip to West Side.
Yeah, I don't remember why West Side. Well, I do know that I went to that pro show and I took fifth at my first pro show.
Yeah.
That's the one I told 25-20 at.
Yeah.
And that's where Louis Simmons came up and said, told Joe, you know, at all these meets at the time, the SPF was paying out good money. I think at that meet, they paid out something like $30,000 on that day.
Yeah.
To different, or that weekend to various athletes. And I really saw a hope and a future in powerlifting in this federation.
Yeah.
And Louis came up to us and said, you know, they pay out on all these meets. You know, if my guy screw up, at least you can at least take a second or something like that. And nobody had ever talked to me like that, and it pissed me off. But I mean, I took the challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
And we, at the time, there's so much to say about this, but at the time, we were linear periodization monsters, which was we squatted and benched and deadlifted to a max every week
in year for 6 years.
For 6 years, for no matter what.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And meeting Louis Simmons and having him rock the boat of our training was, he said, there's a different way. You don't always have to be in the gear. And, you know, you can train your raw and you can do these things that will equal up to your biggest gear list ever in your life.
Yeah.
And that, whether he was right or wrong, even when I asked Joe DeBurger, because I wouldn't have done it without his permission.
Yeah.
I got invited to the West Side, and I wouldn't have gone without Joe saying yes. And then when I talked to Joe about it, he said, even if they can make you just a little bit better, a little bit faster than I can, I'm robbing you if I tell you to stay.
Yeah.
So with his blessing, I went. But you know, upon making that journey, you know, we learned a lot.
Oh yeah, we learned. There was a lot we learned, and it was a different. I know it's a different time. You know, whole different concept of training, and but I feel like we've just you taking that journey and learning so much, and basically spread it down, trickled it down. Like it taught me so much, especially even. Honing in on like what my body needs and doesn't need as far as training goes, weaknesses, strengths, you know, and even passing it on to the new kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it was definitely worth it. And what was weird about it was the whole time I did it, I felt like I was doing something for progress from home.
Yeah.
Like I was doing something that in some way was going to benefit us so much that we would move on with it.
Yeah.
I didn't ever feel in my heart I'd live in Columbus, Ohio for the rest of my life. But I'm not going to lie, without minding Louis' spat, our deterioration at that time of our friendship, without that going on, I don't know that I wanted to move back.
Yeah.
Like I really did love living in Ohio and everything I started to have up there. But I'm thankful I came back and we did everything we've done.
Yeah.
But that definitely was a journey, buddy.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you know things happen, went separate ways, but now y'all mend the ways and things are on the good level.
we have a good relationship now, or as good as we can have, and there's definitely huge respect there. And even though I didn't like everything that happened or was said, the biggest thing Louis can tell you is that you be West Side for life. And when I was up there and he told me that, I mean, I just appreciate it. Yeah. Even though that's not my path anymore, and I'd rather have my name on our board than the West Side board, I still appreciate Louis telling me that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, the way it went down, I mean, I don't know that I want to get into telling everybody all that, but
we just, I mean, even me, I know we just appreciate the knowledge that was given to us.
Because, I mean, he filled in what would have been a lifetime. Because I told the kids at the gym sometimes, we used to train in a gear all the time, and when you do that, your raw sucks. Yeah. So then I would go for a period when I lived in about Austin. I tried to play ball, and then I was done. I started training in 8L at Buddy Duke's gym. Yeah. I started experimenting with training, and I started doing more raw training. Well, I realized when I did more raw training, my raw went through the roof, but then I got in gear, and I sucked in gear. Yeah. And I didn't know how to balance it, and Louis filled in what would have probably been a 30-year journey of figuring that out. Yeah. He filled in that gap immediately and answered all those questions. And that's why it's so crazy. I think when you say the West Side system, you say conjugate, so many people put like maybe a bad label on it, like maybe
It's almost like a taboo.
Like it's taboo, like, oh man, you believe bot squats, or, like they'll just say something negative about it. But the problem I have with that is that every athlete that we've ever put in it has not only done well, but exceeded all expectations.
Whether it's a lifter or a football player, MMA fighter, raw gear lifters, novice, have never touched a weight in their life, that's been in the sport for just a little bit, or advanced lifters, every single person, if they've done the system correctly,
has
skyrocketed.
And we do a little bit of a variance, but that's just because we have our own knowledge in this place.
Yeah.
But it's literally like we don't stray too far from the path.
Yeah.
And the truth is, because when I came home, we tried to improve the system.
Yeah.
But what we actually found is we did detriment in our own bodies by trying so.
True.
We still had to change things around to make the system fit us.
Yeah.
And that's the point of the conjugate method. But
yeah, because it's you're supposed to, each person is supposed to harness what they need.
Yeah. I mean, that, to tell people, if you don't know anything about the conjugate method, literally it's a method of training that is always about the change and not letting the body adapt to any kind of stimulus.
Yeah. And
it doesn't matter what you're doing. It could work for a minute, but the truth is everything works for a minute, but nothing works forever.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be a fact. And the body has a 21-day cycle, a 3-week cycle, and after 3 weeks, no matter what you do in this world, if you're training for 3 weeks and you do the same thing, and you enter the 4th week, your body is going to shut down on its reception to the stimulus.
Yeah.
And it's going to adapt to what you've been doing, and it's going to cease to get better. And that's, 30, 40 years of Russian science to figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
That there's, no matter what you want to say, there's that 3-week cycle. And we have tried to beat the 3-week.
We went 4 and 5 weeks.
Yeah, 4 and 5 weeks. We always found out we failed. In week 4 and 5, it was terrible. And anyway, so we adapted from that, this track and field knowledge from Russians that Louis took hold of and has improved for the last 30 years. We've taken that, put our 20 years of knowledge in it, and we've taken our own direction.
Yeah.
And everyone that we've touched with our knowledge has exceeded any expectation of what I thought they would do well. Hell, we had one kid, what is he, 6'8"?
Yeah, I think it's 6'8". Yeah.
A really big kid, really good kid. It was interesting. Everybody responds differently. Like, his numbers in the gym changed, but they didn't change drastically. But for some reason, the 6'8" kid, even though his numbers didn't change drastically in the gym, under the same stimulus of 4 other athletes, he got abs, and his 40 went from like a 5'7" to a 5 flat. And I've never seen anybody change that much that fast. But the thing was, he didn't change that much as far as raw numbers in the gym.
Yeah.
But as far as performance, it was out of this world.
Yeah.
And then I had some kids that was kind of opposite, but everybody's 40 changed. You had one kid dropped, I think he went from, 4'9" to 4'6", and one kid from like a 5 flat to a 4'8", and then you had Thomas McBride was 5'5" to a 5 flat, and Wes was 5'7" to a 5 flat, and this is within months of training.
And the kicker is, how many times did they run?
Oh, none.
0.
Until right before they were about to start doing the sprints. They started to do it. I had like 1 week where I had to get used to sprints.
Yeah.
That was it. 1 week run.
So they never ran, and they got stronger and way faster.
And they all said, I never let them do one Olympic lift in the gym because I don't believe in them. I'm never going to believe in them. They don't work. They don't do anything for strength and power. If you want strength and power, have your athlete deadlift and bot squat.
Yeah.
And anyway, I didn't let any of them do any Olympic lift, and they all set like 30, 40 pound PRs for like a double when they finally went back to school and had to test their Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that web of strength that the conjugate method teaches, that just because you're not over there beating the hell out of doing the Olympic lift doesn't mean that you getting stronger over here doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you're going to take that new base and bring it over there, and you should be able to lift more if your form is not deteriorating.
Mm-hmm.
So I just say it's so hard to get that across to people, but this is the way that Alabama trains.
Yeah.
The top soccer teams in Europe, they basically do this strength and conditioning program, conjugate method.
Yeah.
They keep training their athletes all the way through the season. They boast almost a 0% injury rate. When they train reverse hoppers, nobody pulls hamstrings.
Oh, that's our bread and butter right there.
Yes, it is.
I love that machine.
For us, it keeps our lower back healthy and our spines healthy. They do that for everybody, but for athletes, for a football player, it keeps them from pulling hamstrings.
Yeah.
If you got a strong lower back, you can't pull your hamstring. I mean, it's just physically impossible.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I try to keep athletes on that too. But anybody, the reason we're such hardcore believers is we've put this to the test
multiple times.
We've been proven wrong, trying to prove the thing wrong. We've done it right, had extraordinary results, and everybody that we've ever put this under has done extremely well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a lifetime of us actually doing this and like putting it to use and seeing the result time and time again. You just can't refute it. I mean, it just becomes a fact that this works the way it does.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's just a fact. It changes everything.
Yeah, and then plus, like you said before, we took the conjugate system, but we never forgot where we come from, and we mixed in both of them because that's what we feel like we need.
Yes.
So we do the conjugate system, added a touch more gear work.
Yeah.
And depending on what we need, and varied it up a little bit, and we've come up with our own way of just
thinking for training.
Yeah, it works for us. Yeah.
And people, they'll ask me like, how do I take apart training? If I told you who I try to emulate for training, for deadlift, I emulate strongmen.
Yeah.
I try to do their lifts and the things that I think strengthen the lower back, and because they have the best deadlifts on the planet. So I try to go to them and I'll do their training, trying to make my deadlift better.
Yeah.
Seems to work. On bench, I know one thing that is universally true about a bench press. Bench press usually does not train raw.
Yeah.
I mean, change raw, unless you have done an exceeding amount of volume and changed your upper body.
Yeah.
Normally, when your bench press is bigger, you have changed.
Yeah.
That may not be true for the squat and the deadlift. Like, you can get a bigger squat and a bigger deadlift, and body may not change. But normally, when the bench gets bigger, you're a bigger dude.
Yeah.
It's just an unnatural thing to carry that much weight in your hands.
Yeah.
And anyway, for the squat, I train try to train pure west side or powerlifters, because powerlifters are the best squats on the planet.
Yeah.
So when I divvy up my training, I think like a bodybuilder for benching, I think like a strongman for deadlift, and I think like a powerlifter for squat.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's the way I put it in my own brain, and try to, when I'm taking other people apart and what we're doing, I try to put them in that direction every time.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way I can explain my own personal thoughts and theories on it.
Yeah. It's a good way of explaining it too. But all right, so your best total ever is 2,800 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Take us through that day that you totaled 2,800.
Oh man.
It was up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I was in Pennsylvania. I was a big old boy.
Big old.
I was a big old.
That head was huge. That day.
Yeah, I was huge.
What, 320?
Yeah, I was on a diet. I was 317, and the day before the meet, I was 327.
Ooh.
But I had the whole day at night ate. You do the water thing and everything.
Yeah.
So I got down to 317 before the meet.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure the day of, I was there at 330. And I'm 5'11". I'm not 6'4", 6'6". That was a whole lot of meat on 5'10" or 5'11". And I don't know what to say about the day. That day had an energy. That day had an energy unlike any meet I'd ever been to. The audience was unbelievable. Every time I came up, all I could see was camera flashes. We're in the Hall of Fame. Donnie Thompson, who was the first guy to ever total 3,000 pounds, is on the mic. All my friends are watching at home. Watching online.
Yeah, because I remember Joe come over because I streamed it on my computer because luckily they had it streamed that day, and even we could feel the energy through just watching it online.
Oh yeah.
Because we're sitting there, even especially when you're getting ready to come up, like my hands started sweating. I got nervous, just watching it on the computer.
That was a crazy meet because I'll say I don't want to say too much in one thing, but I'll say that day was one of the biggest days in powerlifting history. Not because I was there, but because there were so many great athletes in one room.
Yeah.
And they were all, I don't know what it was, but we were all on point. I mean,
Yeah.
we were
I think,
all, engines were turning on that stage.
everybody just, it was
It was good energy.
everybody was in sync that
Yeah,
day.
there was a lot of money up for grabs. I think it was like $50,000 that day.
It was something.
A lot of it was from road.
Yeah.
Louis had put up like almost 20 grand, and we were being was it webcast live?
Yeah.
And they told us before it was over they had like 35,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Which is really unheard of for like a webcast for a powerlifting meet.
Yeah.
And that was the most talked about show for a long time. Anyway. I'm real big and heavy that day, but I felt really strong, and I remember my squats never feeling so strong, and but while I was going down my second squat, my shoulders were real tight, and I was going down my second squat, and I think my right side, as I was going in the hole, something happened, and basically what I found out later was my tendon flipped over the bone. And I heard a crunch on my right side, and I came up, got the squat, and I think that was my 11:25. And I came up, got the squat, and then Louis asked me what I wanted next, and I was like, I don't know, I can barely move my arm.
Because I'm just going back and looking at the video online, you could tell there's grimace on your face.
Oh yeah, I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And in fact, when we went to the bench, I was hoping the bench shirt would hold me together. And it did, but only to the point of like when I was coming down with my bench on stage, I wasn't crying like, hardcore crying, but I had tears coming down my face when I was descending in the shirt, just from the pain on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I got through the bench, and I remember kind of limping through that, but I think I got 875 that day on the bench.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I missed my 900 on the lockout, and
then because it was pretty close on the 9, but just say your shoulder was good.
Yeah, I think I would have got it, but you can't say unless that actually happened, and it didn't, and I missed it. So, but we were going to the deadlift, and I was pretty nervous because my shoulder was so beat up, I pretty much couldn't move it. And I don't know who had it, but somebody had this like medical pain reliever gel.
Yeah.
And anyway, they put it on my shoulder, and man, I went from barely being able to pull 135 to I pulled 600 in the warm room.
Yeah.
Pretty easy, and I was like, okay, like I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think I can live through this thing. Anyway, I remember I hit the 815 deadlift because I opened with 750, and when I pulled that, my shoulder almost went, and when I came off stage, that was the number that completed my 2800.
Yeah. And
I wasn't satisfied, but I remember limping off stage, and all the way everybody was looking at me. No, I can't explain to this day what that look was. I don't know if it, I really don't think or know if it was admiration or what.
Yeah.
But I just never forget that nobody had ever looked at me the way everybody looked at me that day.
Yeah.
And when I came down off that stage, I could barely move, and I wasn't even thinking about what they were thinking. I was just like, man, I'm dying. Like, this is killing me. So I went on to try to 835, and I think I pulled it. You can actually see when I drop it, you can see my shoulder give on the right side.
Yeah.
In the video. Anyway, and then that meet, I forget what I placed that day. What I placed, second overall or something?
I think, yeah.
I think I was second overall. Yeah, because that's the meet that Hoff total 3,000 at.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was second to Jake. That's right, because for the first time in the history of powerlifting, me and Jake Anderson both totaled 2,800 on the same
That's
day.
right. Yeah.
In
That's
the same
right.
category.
Y'all are pretty neck and neck on everything.
Yeah, we were. I definitely have things I can say about that, but we were neck and neck. And but they, what was it? We totaled 2,800, but I weighed 317.
Yeah.
And he weighed 316.
Oh.
So they gave him first. I got second.
Oh yeah. That's right. I remember that.
Can we pause this?
Yeah, we're about to be through anyway.
I really gotta go bathroom.
Well, I gotta go too.
Oh, okay.
Because we're gonna do a part 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just give me a second.
Okay.
Hold your little bladder.
No, I gotta go.
How bad?
This guy gotta go, man.
All right. Well, anyway, you totaled 2,800.
Yeah.
What did it feel like to just know that you have hit a number that was monumental in the powerlifting at one time?
Man, I didn't ever care. I never cared about what other people thought. But my heroes as a kid were Gary Frank and Andy Bowman.
Yeah.
And they both totaled 2805 and 2806.
Yeah.
And those were men to me.
Yeah.
Those were my heroes. And to be able just to total something, not to say I'm better than them, but a total something.
Just to be on their level.
To know I can stand among them. Meant everything to me. I didn't care what anybody else thought. I just knew that in my heart, I could stand up in front of those dudes, shake their hand, and say, "I'm the kind of man you are."
Yeah.
And not to say that that's ever been my ultimate goal, but like while everybody was talking about football and this and these sports and that, whatever, and I was looking at Powerlifting USA, looking at Gary Franklin. I'm like, man, this is a human being that can pick up 936 pounds with his bare hands.
Yeah.
This dude's a monster. Like people.
And he was a monster.
I mean, he was a monster.
Yeah.
Gary Frank.
He's still a monster to this day.
Yeah, Gary Frank is probably one of the rare specimens that has ever going to walk this planet.
Yeah.
Just a true monster.
Well, and you said even Louis said that time that when you asked him about Gary Frank.
Oh, he said if Gary Frank had come to West Side and listened to him, that he probably would have thrown 3,200 pounds.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can say that for sure, but I do know that the way that Gary went about hitting his 28 was about as brutal as you could be.
Oh yeah.
Which was that he just went to meet after meet until he got it. And he said bomb after bomb after bomb. He didn't care because he said nobody was going to remember anything but the day he told 28. That's true.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear about any of the days he bombed. All you ever hear about is the fact, well, he did this. He set this record. So, that's that. I've never felt a huge sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
I've always, as soon as you accomplish it, you're like, well, I got to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Here's the next goal. Now I want to squat 1,200. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. And you just never sit back and smell the roses. But that's the first time in my life that I sat back after I told them that. I didn't get satisfied, but I was just like, man, that's worth it.
Yeah, I did something.
Like that was worth it.
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, I can't tell you how much that I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
Because what people think and say online is something totally different. Because I've never been disrespected in person.
Yeah.
People say everything under the sun. You'll see the best lift or one of the best lifters ever do the most flawless lift ever.
They're gonna find something.
And somebody online is gonna say something negative, and I just put no weighting to it. But the thing is, if you look online, you think nobody appreciates what we do. Man, but in person, everybody is so respectful.
Yeah.
They shake my hand. They want to know what we think. They appreciate what we say. And I can't thank all the people that show us. I try to show that same respect to everybody.
Yeah.
But I can't thank all the people that show us that kind of respect enough.
Yeah.
For doing that.
Definitely.
I don't know. It's just that's probably the only moment in my life I said that I really felt like I could sit back and say, okay, I'm happy for a moment. I even remember I went to that was the same meet that Burley Hawk squatted 900 raw.
Yeah.
And he came out and was like, hey, I'm Burley Hawk, I'm a monster. And everybody got to know who he was. And I remember I went to eat with him and Tom Berry after that meet. And Burley had just done this huge raw total. I just totaled 28. Jack totaled 28. Josh Crowley just pulled 900. Dave Hoff just totaled 3,000. Like, we had just decimated powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't even anyone even close to competing with that room full of guys.
Yeah.
And nobody was happy. And it really, that's the first time that I don't want to say turned off is the term, but that's the first time that I didn't like being at Westside.
Yeah. Because
I was like, man, all of you should be so thankful just to have done this.
Yeah.
Just to be here. This is a moment in time.
Oh yeah.
And instead of feeling it and believing that you did a great thing, you're immediately like, that was garbage.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
And there's only been, to me, that I've been to or seen or watched online, only a handful of meets that really stand out compared to other ones. And that was definitely one of them.
Yeah. I definitely believe that. That's what I'd say about that.
Yeah. But we're sitting here talking to Shane Hammock, talking about his life story and his journey through powerlifting. And when we come back for our second episode, we'll talk about his trip back home and starting up Dirty South with me. All right. See ya.